Good day, folks. Today we're going to be discussing this fertigation system that I assembled for my landscaping garden. First, here's the water inlet, the main water inlet into the sprinkler lines. This is a anti-siphon shutoff valve. And then it's feeding into this system here, which has technically a Y. One is for a direct feed into the irrigation system, which is the sprinkler system here. As you can see, the main line feeding the individual zones. There's 4 zones here. And then there's this line here that can be open or shut that feeds into a Venturi valve, which the Venturi valve is connected to a valve itself, which meters the amount of flow through the Venturi from this tank, which is a 5-gallon tank, which is the one where I mix my liquid fertilizers in order to feed into the fertigation system, which is technically the irrigation system, and then sprinkle it with the sprinklers onto my garden. So anyhow, here's the Venturi. These are separable joints, so you can change the Venturi if it goes bad or gets broken or whatever. So in order to make it work, what I do is I close off the main line here so much. Once it's closed off so much, it diverts pressure to this part here, which is pretty much always open. And then, it sucks through the line, creates suction pressure through the Venturi, which feeds into the main sprinkler line, and then can be irrigated into the system, the sprinkler system, zone by zone. And then now I'll show you what fertilizers I use in the tanks. Okay, so here we are. These are the fertilizers, as you can see by the numbers on it. Potassium sulfate crystals. And this one is a 1261, which has a little nitrogen, but it's mostly phosphorus. And then here's the nitrogen. They're all separate. I mix my own formulas for different times of the year. And they're also 100% water soluble. They have to be water soluble. You can't just put any fertilizer into an irrigation system. And this is pretty much Epsom salt crystals, which you need this. Pretty much every garden needs this. And it should be put into your garden pretty often, actually, and especially in winter time. So anyhow, I'll mix in the summer a little more nitrogen, a little less of the phosphorus, and a little more of the urea. No, I'm sorry, this one, the sulfate. But you mix the formula depending on the time of year, whether you want vegetative growth or whether you want flowering or root growth. You can figure that out online yourselves. I'm not giving the names of these things, mainly because I don't want to advertise for these people unless they supply me something, and I get shit for free. I don't give a damn. Here is a second fertigation system which I have for my front yard. As you can see here, we have the main water inlet through the anti-siphon valve going into the same system, a dual feed. Doesn't matter which way you arrange these things. They could be high or low, it doesn't matter. As long as you have shut-off valves to regulate the pressure. This valve, of course, as you close it off, it allows pressure to go through here and then feeds back into the main system. This is the main inlet for the sprinkler lines. And of course, here's the valve that meters the flow from the tank, which is here. Another tank similar to that one. These are very good tanks. I've tried some other ones and they decompose in the sunlight. And over here real quick, this only has 2 zones, as you can see here, and that's what it's feeding into, and it's feeding into the 2 zones. And these are just standard sprinklers, sprayers, half circles and full circles depending on where they are. So a standard irrigation system. To do it into a drip irrigation system is harder because you have to have a certain amount of flow before you create the suction through the system. So that's, if you want to do that one, you might have some difficulty, but it can be done. You just have to figure it out. The way to do it would probably be to shut off the main flow altogether and just let it go through the Venturi by itself, and reduce the amount of fertilizer in your tank so you don't over fertilize. But it can be done, and those Venturis come in different sizes. They come in 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1 inch, and even bigger, and you can buy them on eBay. Another thing I do, since I live in Florida and my soil pH keeps trying to rise higher than I want it to do, is I add acid into the fertigation system. Here's 93% sulfuric acid. Here's phosphoric acid. Got 2 of those. Then I also have nitric acid, 67%. Why do I use these acids? Well, when you put them into the system and the water flows, it mixes well, and you can raise the pH of your water by 1 or 2 points depending on how much you add to the mix. Let me move over here because it's kind of boring in there and dark. So, the reason why I use phosphoric, nitric, and these other fertilizers is acids is because they are actually fertilizers. Most people don't know this, but nitric acid is nitrogen, and phosphoric acid is phosphorus, which is a fertilizer, and sulfuric acid is sulfur. So plants need sulfur. All these acids are actually fertilizers. They're just acidic. So they work as a fertilizer as well as a pH raiser for my soil. A pH lower for my soil, which is always trying to rise. These systems are relatively inexpensive. You can get the Venturi system with the valve and the hose on eBay, if the prices are still the same, for as little as 20 bucks. Now, since they come from China, they may be a lot more expensive, but it should still be affordable. The PVC plumbing and all that, the prices have gone up on that, but they're still affordable enough, and you don't really need that many parts. The tank is about 20 bucks online, but you may be charged for shipping, so you have to pay a little extra for that, but it's worth it. The acids you can find in a chemical supplier's house somewhere in your area, I'm sure. Every place has chemical suppliers. You could be a janitorial supply, it could be anything. But just search it out, look for it. That's what I did. And it's actually pretty cheap. Phosphoric acid cost me like 28 bucks, I think, for a gallon. Sulfuric acid cost me like 50, I think it was. And nitric acid was like another $28. So it's not expensive. And the fertilizers are, though. The one with the nitrogen and a little bit of, I believe it was, let me see, phosphorus, I'm not sure. Yeah, the one with the, nitrogen and phosphorus, that was expensive. That was like 120 bucks. And it may be more now. The one with the sulfate, which is potassium at the end, that one wasn't too expensive. It was like 40 or 50 bucks for it. And they've lasted me for years. The nitrogen as well. It wasn't expensive, but the prices have gone up on the nitrogen now, so you're going to be paying a lot for that. I don't remember what I paid for it, though. But it was a good bit. Might have been $60, $70. And it could be more now. Well, that's it, folks. I guess I'll talk to y'all later. I'd also say that all the fertilizers I got at the seed barn, well, I probably shouldn't even say the name of the company, but it's a supplier locally around me. It was about 15 miles away. You could buy it online from them, but you know, I just drove over there, and it's a lot cheaper if you go and pick it up because they charge for shipping in their main price. That's it. Enjoy.